Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You're bound to be somewhere, I hope. My name is Richard Askam. Welcome to the Lighthouse on Print Island. I am officially the Lighthouse Keeper, which means that I get to invite anybody I want up to the top of the lighthouse. And then we can take a 360-degree view, not only of Print Island, but also the whole print industry. And I couldn't think of anybody better to spend my, what day is it, Thursday afternoon chatting to than my dear old friend, Deborah Corn. Good afternoon, Deb.
And Richard Askam.
and she's promised, ladies and gentlemen, to do a Dick Van Dyke comedy Cockney accent for the entire interview.
Hello, governor.
But we can edit that out, so that's fine too.
Yes, if you don't want to offend everybody in the United Kingdom, you might want to.
Indeed, and they are easily offended, trust me. So, listen, it's lovely to see you. I was trying to remember the last time we bumped into each other. I know we sort of glided past each other at FESPA in Berlin in May. Did you enjoy that event? Did you have a good week?
I thought that was one of the best events I had ever been to.
Wow.
I love the European events. They are completely different than the American events. And so, yeah, it was fantastic. And FESPA took a serious interest in working with Girls Who Print and promoted it and provided a space for us to have an event. And they have just been so supportive. So we are now working together, supporting. We are supporting the FESPA Foundation and all the amazing work that they're doing. And we are branching out to all the different FESPA federations, they call them, to offer members, access to Girls Who Print.
Yeah, brilliant. And I'll come back to Girls Who Print in a second, but tell me why you thought FESPA was one of the best events that you've been to or seen, and so what was different about it?
Okay, well, first of all, it was my first FESPA I had ever been to in Europe. Okay. I had only been there one time. FESPA came to America once and then was like, yeah, no, and went back.
They got scared.
No, I don't know if they got scared or they were just like, you know what, let them do what they do and we'll do what we do, So there's just a different level of professionalism is all I can say about that, because America, and this is not a a ding on Americans, but we're jazz hands. We're hey, come see what we got, and there's less is more, and more is like and in the shows in Europe, it is not like that. No one's trying to grab you out of the aisles. Everybody's polite. Everybody's dressed very nicely. I mean, it's it like raises the bar. It's like when you used to go on airplanes and everybody kind of dressed up for an airplane, now they're throwing people off for wearing like tank tops and things like that. So it's just a different experience. It's a calmer experience. I think you have more time to absorb and explore on your own before there's a salesperson in your face trying to scan your badge and things like that. And it's just the difference of the cultures, So, here it's sell. We invested money, sell. What are your numbers? What did you do? How many badge scans? I'm not sure anybody ever sits down after a trade show and say, "Tell me about some of the really interesting people you spoke to."
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? And I'm really pleased that you picked up on the European chic, of course, which I think, one of the reasons that I set up Print Island is to try and encapsulate how similar but not the same the print industry is around the world. Because let's be honest, the kit is largely the same, the ink is largely the same, the paper is largely the same, the outcome is largely the same. Whatever it is that you're doing in all of those parts of the world, is similar, but it's not the same. And behaviorally, you point out about being a little bit more sort of, some people say standoffish. The Europeans can be quite standoffish and a little bit sort of, we don't really know you yet, so we're not going to be too friendly. Whereas the Americans, quite the opposite. You're absolutely right. And we love you for it, by the way. So I think those...
Not everybody, Richard.
Those points of difference are actually what makes not only our diverse world a wonderful place, but also this industry a wonderful place. And it's really interesting for me because I don't come from the print industry, as you know, but I've worked in it quite significantly over the last 10 years. And I've seen this with my own eyes. So it's quite interesting. And I know you well enough to say this. It's quite interesting to get an American perspective on a European show.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is that since many of the manufacturers have headquarters in Europe or closer to Europe than America, you see technology that hasn't come here yet. So you also get an advanced preview. So for people in America or North America, I'm always trying to encourage them to go to the European events so they can at least have the knowledge before other people, and they can start making plans if they want to look at that technology when it comes to the States or to Canada. But at that point, they're already ahead of the game. Now, sure, the manufacturers may send out press releases and put all the stuff, but somebody find me a printer who's reading press releases all day long. So it's a good opportunity. And if you printers, if you do it right, make a little vacation out of it. The events are usually close enough to some weekend that you can come a little early or stay a little late and go see things. Like
exactly. And
I've go on vacation while you're there.
I think that's one of the things, then the points of difference that I've noticed in my trips either side of the Atlantic to trade shows is it's always quite fun going to a European trade show because it's in Berlin or it's in Barcelona or it's in Paris or it's in Amsterdam, and you have that sort of cultural backdrop. And the US tend to be in big, shiny resorts in the middle of nowhere, and so there isn't an awful lot to do other than be at the resort.
Exactly. Let's go to Applebee's. I mean, there's a McDonald's. Although I have to say, some people do go crazy, like, if they get to a Chick-fil-A for the first time, or there's some fast food restaurant that they've been just dying to try, and it happens to be, in the strip mall or the row of shops, as you say, across from the convention center.
Sure.
It's very different. And to your point, Americans love the old stuff. So like when you go to Brussels or something, you're just like, whatever. Look at that building. Look at, oh no, another, ancient relic. You just walk around. And so it's a lot different than coming here. And it's like, well, there's the airport and, there's the strip mall, and, we don't have like a lot to see. Although in the big cities, if you do get to go to Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, there's plenty to do, and they are magnificent. I'm not, saying,
and this is it's kind of my point, Deb, that similar but not the same. I'm still hugely fascinated, and in fact, the last time I was in the US, I flew from Chicago to LA. And it was in December, and literally flew over winter. And there was a line down the planet, because your country is so big. There was a line that you could see from the planet. I've got a photo on my phone of that's winter. Oh, and look, here's still the end of summer going on here. So we don't realise or appreciate, I think, over this side of the pond, just how big America is, and that diversity. Of course, there isn't one America, is there? There's 50. And there isn't 50. There's like 250 in each 50. And like we do here, I live in the UK. You've got your cities, you've got your towns, you've got your villages, and you've got your hamlets, and then you've got your, what have you. I live in a village where the pub is 650 years old. Which is nuts. That's 3 times older than the US. So we couldn't expect these cultural differences to play out in any other way. But I wonder whether they are getting closer together now in this era of, let's call it, political unrest around the world, because I don't want to get into the whys and wherefores, but the impact that's having on the print industry and the behaviour within it. Do you see a way back from where we currently stand? How do you see it playing out over the next 12 months?
I think that the only thing that will bring us together is to be connected through technology and the opportunity to profit from your print business. And that is where those global networks come into play, where everybody can work together. The rest of it is so out of everybody's control on this level of existence that all you can really do is field what is coming at you. And I always believe that the best way to handle that is to be part of a team, and to be part of a team where there are all different, levels of skill, perspective, the thing that they focus on. So, printers, if for example, if there's supply chain disruptions, they've already found sister printers, or, somebody else that they can, borrow supplies from. It's not different than the pandemic, except now, there's a greater global price problem going on that unfortunately is stemming from here. So sorry, everybody. But we're all dealing with it as well, obviously. And all I can say about that is that if we don't, okay, I will say this. I have always felt that print is a significant reason why there's democracy in the world. And if nothing else, the printing industry should be railing against books being banned, should be railing against schools being told what they can and can't teach. We are the First Amendment. We should be protecting the hell out of it. And that is not a conversation you can have pretty much with anybody. And what I have learned, unfortunately, is that the best way to facilitate any sort of change in perspective is just to put some ideas out there and step away from it. You can't be like I'm standing for this, because it doesn't work like that in the printing industry. I always say that the printing industry is like one of those sprinkler heads. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it doesn't go like that. It goes.
Yeah. That's a good description. I like that.
And you have to keep the printers engaged in every single one, or they go back to, and they say this has nothing to do with me. So what I've been doing is saying, hey, just in case there's a supply chain disruption, are you looking for new suppliers? And then I gave a list of everything that would affect things, without being like, there's tariffs, and going to that end of it. I mean, obviously that's the setting that we're in, but it's too hot to discuss it in the out.
Yeah, no, I get that. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? And again, I'm going to say we won't get into this, but then we probably will. That the downside, business is a very agile, a very nimble entity. If you're going to run your own business, your own print shop at whatever size, you have to have the willingness to change direction, because from time to time you will be forced to, and from time to time you will choose to. So where we are right now is in a moment in time where actually somebody's trying to make you do one thing, you may well do the complete opposite. And so the opportunities still exist. I said to somebody the other day, the world is not short of money, it's short of confidence. And so that confidence can be applied elsewhere. And there is a risk for, let's call it the protectionist lobby over here, that actually you won't keep people with that approach. You'll lose them. And the industry will reinvent itself, because it does. It's been around a while, and long enough to know that nothing is forever. So the reason I asked the question about how you see the next 12 months is not necessarily sort of almost financially, it's behaviorally. Do you think people will find new and better ways of doing things?
Some will, and some won't, because that's how, that is my experience of the printing industry. There are I think of it as 3 layers, right? There's the upper layer, that's your quads and people like that, and they don't need anything from anybody because they have it all under control. They've got IT departments and their own servers and multiple locations. They're good. If they need something, they will reach out. Then you've got the middle bunch, which isn't as much as people think, but there's a middle bunch there. And they're in the teetering stage. They're the ones that are either contemplating mergers and acquisitions at this moment because they don't want to invest in what they would need to stay a middle-sized printer or move up to the next level. It's going to take a lot of technology investments at that point for many people. And then there are others who have finally gotten the reins of the business from the parents or the people who were the boomers that were out there, and now the Gen Xers or the millennials are taking over. And these are not, we shouldn't think of just because they're called children, they're not kids. They could be 60 years old.
Yes.
But the point is that a lot of them have been waiting to transform the business, and they couldn't because that other layer was there. So I think all of those people are looking to, if they're looking to stay around, they are really super excited to see what is possible, look at the market trends, and really make a business that will last for them.
That's a really good point. And that evolution that has happened over the last however many centuries, is a constant in many ways, but there tends to be a clear moment, and it's usually generational change, or inheritance, or call it whatever you like. So I'm of course I'm the son of a father. I was the son of a father whose business, the drinks industry, I couldn't wait to have my turn. And when it came, I changed pretty much everything, as all sons do to all fathers. So I suspect there's almost a hidden excitement amongst a certain generation now that we finally got a chance to do something different.
Right. And I just want to go back for a second, because that the third group are those mom and pop print shops that maybe have like 3 people on the corner. Now, there's the most of them. They need the most help, but the industry sort of ignores them because they can't sell these giant presses to them, and they can't sell $75,000 software systems to them. And these people are pretty much running their print shops on Excel sheets, or literally screaming over and finding out what's the next job. And if those are the people that need saving. But if we want to help those people stay in business, besides the fact that they have to want to help themselves too, that we have to, make sure that there is always like the entry level options for people. During COVID, I was having a bit of a problem with the MIS people because everybody was freaking out, and they were totally right. Like if you didn't have automation and the pandemic didn't make you say, "Oh, now I get it," you might not be around right today, honestly. So the fact that they can make this decision now. Oh, I'm sorry. So with the MIS people, I was like, why can't you just separate the storefront out from everything else? Why are you trying to force printers who are freaking out? Their businesses are closed. They can't take orders. And not only do you want to sell them the storefront, but you want to sell them this whole thing that they don't need. So help them and just do that. And I have to say that I was able to convince at least a few of the companies to break out their software in modules. I said, get them in with the thing that they need right now. And then once they see that this is possible and it wasn't a nightmare for them, go back and add stuff as they need it. But as I said, my experience is, more is only more in America. We supersize that MIS system instead of just selling somebody a small fry and saying, we are so happy to sell you that small fry. When you get hungry again, we will be here.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the domino theory, isn't it? That you can't have domino 4 unless you've got domino 1. And so that whole notion of the full suite tech stack, is from time to time, other industries, supply chains around the print industry have to adapt to the needs and nature of the state of affairs at that time being. So there's like a it's almost, you mentioned the pandemic. I'm thinking of this almost like the global financial crisis, a recession, call it what you like. There is always a shakedown moment. Typically happens every 10 to 15 years when you look back in history, that everybody goes, this is either the end of me or the start of the next me.
Exactly.
And that for me right now, whoever is in charge, if in fact anybody is, is creating the ground for that opportunity to happen from.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually wrote down the word cusp on my little notepad here. And that's exactly where we were on the cusp in COVID. But, I don't understand how people haven't learned their lessons from COVID and aren't, doing their, nobody has an excuse not to have a disaster plan after the biggest disaster I've ever lived through. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I'm lucky to be able to say something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's just, we have an expression in America: "Poop or get off the pot," and it's
We have a similar one.
yeah. I mean, I said poop because I was trying to be ladylike, but it's difficult. You're running a business. Your clients are cutting back their budgets. People think that digital marketing is free somehow. It's free. It's free. I was actually had the honor of presenting to the Creative Pro conference this week, and it was just all the designers, and I presented something called the Print Advantage in Paper We Trust. And I was trying to tell all these designers that print should not ever be taken out of your omnichannel marketing mix, because it is the safest and most secure way to start a relationship with a customer, a consumer, a colleague, someone who needs education, whatever it might be, and then build the trust to get them online. If my first touch point is going to be an email, good luck. Good luck with that. So, there's an opportunity to, make sure that the value of print is put in the right way. But that doesn't mean that all of those customers have to do 10,000 runs 3 times a week. If they only want 50 somethings, let them have the 50 somethings and then say, okay, great. What is this for? What do you need it to do? Wonderful. I'm not sure if you know this, but if you need any sort of signage for that event, we can do that too, or anything that is more like just gently informing people that you also do this. Because, I am getting more contacts from printers telling me all about their capabilities and asking me if I have work coming up. And I can understand that, because, there is, if they do a search on LinkedIn, it is going to come up that I was a print buyer 15 years ago. It's not unlike the people who try to sell me tractors because my last name is Corn and they think I'm a farmer. So, it's just a bunch of, it seems like a bunch of people freaking out. You know who's not freaking out? The ones who have portals with customers, the ones who have repeat orders that they secure in the beginning of the year, the ones who have great relationships with their giant corporate mailers, so they're plotting paper increases, postage increases, and they are strategically mailing less to better targeted people. Now, if you're doing that, that's the cusp that we're on.
Yeah, sure.
You've got to go to that side, or you need to be the copy shop on the corner, and, good luck to you. But in any case, nobody should walk by a print shop and go, man, those poor people, they're working in a dying industry. It's like walking by somebody, a whale oil store, like people are like, what are we doing that for? everybody should walk by a print shop and look and say, maybe one day I can make something to put in there, or maybe one day I can work in there too. So we have a lot of work to do, because at the end of the day, Richard, even the B2B people, anybody buying print is also a human who lives on planet Earth. And they receive spam emails, they receive junk mail. So they don't want to be part of a system that already annoys them. They're like, why would we do this? So, I know that one of the purposes of Print Island is to share with the world the amazing things that print can do. And at this conference, they loved my presentation. And we went into a Q&A. 5 people said, how do I prove the value of print? And that was literally what my presentation was. I gave them all the ways of measuring it, but they're like, everybody thinks it's useless. But then I got one email from somebody who is part of a giant utility in California. And they were at the conference. Then they got their marketing director to watch my presentation. Then they got the head of the whatever it is, the organization to watch my presentation. Then they had a meeting, and now they are looking to put print back into their communication thing. So I will take the mic drop win on that, one person at a time, right, Richard?
So you should, and it might need to be one person at a time, Deb, because I think that the problem that I see all the time, and I've spoken with this about a few guests in the Lighthouse already, is that as an industry, print sees itself as one thing with multiple verticals underneath it. So they use the magic P word, print. And then you go and speak to a creative agency and they hear the word print and think newspapers. And this is kind of where Print Island sits in the middle, in the communications gap. We're trying to build a bridge between what the print industry actually does and what the rest of the world would like from it, because they're not quite joined up. There's a missing piece. And I had a meeting a few weeks ago with one of the biggest, largest advertising agencies in the world, headquartered in London. And we had this similar conversation. And the guy rolled his eyes when I started to talk about Print Island. He went, why do they always have to call it print? Why can't they call it content? Because we live in a world where everything around us, and all the way back to the dawn of time is ink on paper in some shape or form. I live down the road from where the original Magna Carta is kept, from 1200.
As one does.
As one does, indeed, at my castle down the road. But it's ink on paper, right? So it's print. But if we continue as an industry to only describe ourselves as a singularity, the chances of that hitting everybody is 0. So your point about you're going to have to win one at a time, that's fine. But we'll probably run out of time at some point, even though we are very young for our age. How do we reinvent the way the world sees the print industry so that all the things that it does, it doesn't have to buy anything new, it doesn't have to do anything new, it just has to do what it does and explain it and communicate it better? How do we do that?
Okay, so this is what I have been trying to get off the ground for years, and I've gotten very close, but perhaps Print Island is the way that we can get this done. So I have been shopping an idea called Extreme Print Makeover, where we go into a business and we say, you don't have to paint, you don't have to get granite counters, you don't have to get a wooden floor, you don't have to tint your windows, you don't have to do anything. All of this can be done through printing. And we go in and we make over the business, which could also be an animal shelter. I mean, it could be have some good to it.
Yeah.
And then so it's like a 10-minute video that is just, this is what it looks like now, and here is how it was transformed through print.
Mm-hmm.
Then episode 2 is Extreme Marketing Makeover. So now that we have redone this business, now we need to tell everybody about it. And here's all the ways we can tell people about it. The 3rd episode is Behind the Technology. And this is where everybody can learn about the sponsors who have donated their technology for the wallpaper, for the graphics and that.
Sure.
So You want to make textured wallpaper? Learn how to make textured wallpaper by clicking here. And then somebody from a manufacturer says, hi, I'm from this manufacturer, and this is the machine you would need to do textured wallpaper. So now that you know that, you could either buy one or you can go find a printing business that has it. But the whole point is, what I'm trying to accomplish is that regular people can go to their print shop and have their lives changed without really knowing it. I always describe it as people just don't realize they need print in their life, So, okay, so there's my answer to it. And it's a consumer show. It has nothing to do with we're not targeting print buyers.
No.
They're done. They're done. We've got to get the consumers to change exactly what you said. And how I describe it is the movies is what screws us up the most, because there's an old guy with white overalls covered in ink going, stop the president. And that's what everybody thinks print is, So, but it's not. And then once we show that in a setting, it could be like, well, why do you need to you can decorate your nursery, you can redo your kitchen. I mean, there's so many things that would spark those ideas. So this is based upon I'm sure you know who Donny Deutsch is, from Deutsch Advertising. I worked at Deutsch for a little while. He was a very interesting character, but he said something on TV, which is that the Eiffel Tower is just a lamppost with great PR, and that's the way that I think of. That's the way that I think of the printing industry. Like, everyone just thinks we're a lamppost, and we're so much more than that. But we don't have the PR, and that is because everybody in this ecosystem is selling to each other and marketing to each other.
Exactly.
When I started Project Peacock, it was to go over the printers. And no offense, but I realized that the only reason I was printing on the equipment I was printing on was because that's what my printers had. And they weren't telling me about new things if they didn't have them. And if I inquired about something new, they'd be like, oh, you don't want to do that, and give me the 20 reasons why it was the worst idea ever, until miraculously they got that technology and all of a sudden everything was better now. So now we should do that. So I went right to the print buyers and I was like, here's new ingredients. And then I stepped back and I said, create. Instead of saying, this is what you can do and this is what you should do, because I worked in advertising. Like, don't tell the creatives what to do. My favorite advertising joke: how many creative directors does it take to screw in a light bulb? Who says it has to be a light bulb?
I like it. That's good. But you're absolutely right. And and in many, this is where we're aligned, I think, sort of ideologically. And the reason that Print Ireland has sort of come into being right now is because we've tried multiple times, several times, to convince all the people over here that all the people over here have got everything that all the people over here need or want, and yet they haven't told them. So somebody has to tell them. And Print Ireland, in my mind, was a vehicle for that, with a variety of people, a variety of hosts, a variety of content from all around the world, and quite quickly we're seeing already that there's a commonality to that thread.
But Richard, who's your audience? The printing industry?
No. The printing industry are the creators, the content creators for the island. The audience is anybody that has never been to the island. So the brands, the agencies, the consumers, the promotional agencies, the other sectors. Let's look at fashion and apparel. Okay, what the biggest trend in apparel? Personalization. Where did personalization come from? The print industry. So the adoption of techniques is wide-ranging and enormous in today's market, because everybody, and I said this when I was at FESPA, the current generation of, let's call them young people, the irritating young people, are very good at co-branding themselves, aligning themselves with the cool brands and whatever it is that they want to be seen, and then they see themselves on Instagram, on TikTok, and what have you. It's one of the reasons 𝗟𝗏 has come back, is because of the TikTok generation. So there's many things, I think, that the next generation and the one beyond them, who are growing up with that generation, by the way, don't even need to know where it's come from. The print industry is too caught up in telling people how it does things, not what it does. And that's the missing piece here. So I think Print Island, in my head, is a way that we gather all of that information from all of those people that are already doing it, and show them off, and then take that to every other island that already exists in the world of business. That's the goal. So it's by the print industry, but it's not for the print industry. It's for everybody else. That's the goal, anyway.
I mean, it's a lofty goal. I've been in this business for quite some time. I've met with more than 8,000 print customers with my Project Peacock thing. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
That's why I have said, forget industry, forget anything, and go right to the consumers.
Yeah.
With something that is entertaining. It's discovery for them because they don't know what it is. And anybody, after watching those first two videos, there's no way that they wouldn't say, I didn't know that could be done, and giving them ideas. I mean, there's so much content that could be around it after,
Correct.
And it just let it be out in the open and put it free. So there is, there's a complement to what we're saying. I'm going for the culture, right? The video on demand, something like is going to transform in front of their eyes by this mysterious printing industry, who I think is only making junk mail and newspapers. And who knew that you can, I keep seeing these. I don't know why anybody would do it, but have you seen these blankets that people are putting like their babies on, like giant, like bed blankets, comforters?
Yeah.
I mean, you turn on the light, there's a freaking giant baby looking at you. I don't think I would last. Like if I went to someone's house and I turned on the light and there was a freaking giant baby looking at me, that might fall under just because you can doesn't mean you should. But hey,
exactly. Yeah.
If people want to put a baby on a king size blanket, I bet you they don't even know that they can do that.
There you go. And that's the point, isn't it? That, and you and I have spent enough time walking off stages, listening to people say back to you, oh, I had no idea you could do that.
Oh, yes, totally.
It's astonishing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of such nonsense. I wanted to get back to the beginning and something that you mentioned right at the beginning in our last few minutes together today. And it's something that I'm watched you develop over the last few years, and I think is absolutely brilliant. And we are bringing this in to an element of Print Island, which I will talk to you about a little bit later. Girls Who Print. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you so much for asking. I really do appreciate that. And I would like to let everybody know that is what allyship is. Supporting people with the things that they're trying to do to support the industry. So I want to point that out. I want to say thank you. And Girls Who Print is in its 16th year. It's a global network of about 11,500 people. It's not just women, but people, mostly women, of course. And we just opened up a new platform and membership program. There's about 200 members in there that we, which is pretty good, I think, for something like this. And so what Girls Who Print does is we support women and now, students and allies across their careers in print, no matter where they are.
Okay.
And, we do that through events, through content, through, now that we have the platform, we are going to call upon our sponsors to help with continuing education and skill building. And the reasons for this are because, who is the one that gets to go to the training in the print shops? It's usually the gentleman. Who's running, when they have a job opportunity, are they even looking at women to work in the press room, or are they relegated to only the receptionist and the marketing jobs or things of that nature? Now, we're not looking to, be like, you're doing something bad. This is not what it is about. It is about supporting people who are in a system that is not, it doesn't have the same advantages as other people in the system. And this could be as simple as asking somebody if they know of anybody who would be interested in a job somewhere. More than likely, a guy is going to reach out to their circle of guy friends, just like a woman might reach out to their circle of female friends. And when you're in a male-dominated industry, that means that is not always skewed in the in an equal way. Now, this has nothing to do with people's skills. I don't want to hear I only hire the best people for the job. Of course, we only hire the best people for the job. The question is, are you opening up that opportunity to everybody, or is it somehow, for some reason, whatever it is, I refer to it as unconscious bias, because I do it myself. And I'll give everybody a very quick example. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine said that she went to the doctor, and I said, "What did he say?" I wasn't trying to be rude to female doctors. I wasn't insinuating that there are no women who have gone to medical school. I just said it out loud. And then I was like, oh, I should have said, what did they say? Or what did he or she say? But I just it just came out of my mouth. So that doesn't mean that women can't be doctors, or what I'm saying, or that or that I did anything wrong.
No.
So it's just about being aware that there are opportunities to support amazing people out there and bring more ideas, more I'm going to say diversity in thought, because that's what it is to me. If you have every, and Richard, because you work on if you're working on an advertising campaign and you look around the room and you look at what they're making, it's like, wow, it looks like a lot of people in this room, in this art, but as the world transforms, you want to make sure that there are, I'm sorry, but sales a lot is central casting. I don't care what anybody says about it.
Yeah.
You've got to send the right person. Look, imagine sending like somebody in a suit to an advertising agency. Everyone's going to be like, get out of here. Like, you're scaring me. And you just want to buy, you want me to buy something from you. But you come in with like casual, with kind of a cool shirt on, and you're relaxed, and you're just going to have an easier time having a conversation. So it's the same thing like that. But it's education, mentorship, events, and really just making sure that, when somebody says we need somebody to speak at a panel, it's not always Joe. Sometimes Jane can get a chance to.
Yeah, and I love that. And I'm a huge fan of what you've been doing, continue to do, and will always continue to do. I'm a believer. I've just launched a children's book business in the UK that's connected to sport, to bring children into not only reading but also participation as well.
Love that.
And I take the view that there isn't men's sport and women's sport. There's just sport. And that should be the case. I don't know where that went like that. We're on the same rails, right? We're all riding the same rails, but somehow it's gone like that. But we'll save that for another day. But genuinely, from me to you, I'm delighted to see how far and wide Girls Who Print is going. And as I say, I've got a little idea for you that I will talk to you about when we finish this recording. But listen, thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy lady. There's lots going on in the world. Some of it good, some of it bad. Final thought from you. What would you like to see happen for you personally and also you professionally between now and, let's say, the end of this year? What's your goals for the rest of the year?
To remain a person who can provide the connections that people seek out from me, to help them get the information that they need, to provide any sort of, I always say that I'm in the crazy idea business, but people do actually do my ideas and they work out. But, so I want to keep on being able to look at the situation in the world, not address it because it's too hot button, and just say, okay, what can we do about this? If you had no ink tomorrow, what is your plan? Like, do you have a way to create electronic documents? I'm not even kidding about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's so that is the lane that I remain in, and I am the ambassador because I'm here to help people. So as long as I can keep doing that, then honestly, it's what I do, and I think that that's the best thing I can do right now.
And you
Is
do it very well. You do it very
Thank you,
well,
sir. I
and
appreciate that.
I look forward very much to the next time we bump into each other at some fancy trade show somewhere. But for now, thank you for joining me in the Lighthouse here on Print Island. My
Thank
name
you.
is Richard Askam, and I've been talking to Deborah Corn.